Hey, it's Mark Ferguson with Invest for More. We're back at the Laundromat, and I'm really excited to see the numbers today because over the weekend we had our second best cash collection from the change machine, and I think we might be maybe not setting a record this week, but getting our second best week because we had a crazy good week 3 weeks ago. So I'll be really excited to see what's in the machines. We have some other news about the Laundromat too, which is really exciting and should possibly help sales as well. And of course, there's always issues and problems too that come up with the Laundromat. So I took this over in September. We opened back up in December, and it's been a lot of fun. So the first thing I usually check, although I had some other things to do when I got there today, is see how much money is in the change machine, because that gives me an indication of what will be in the actual machines. This is not profit, but I did not collect cash all week. And I was a little bit worried because, like I said, we had a really good weekend. I think we collected like $935 or something just over the weekend. But then it seemed kind of slow during the week. And part of the reason was bugging me is that our cleaner quit a couple of weeks ago. I am not a good cleaner. I will be the first to admit that. That is not one of my best skill sets. And so it hasn't been as clean as it should be. But we hired someone yesterday. They started cleaning yesterday. So it's much cleaner now. And it's actually a professional cleaning company, so we'll see how that goes. So that was actually a fair bit of cash, though. I think the last couple of days we had more people show up. So we'll count that, see how much is there, and then hopefully when we actually get to the machines, there's a whole lot of money in there. And this little bill counter has been acting up a little bit too, so I was doing it in real small sections so it wouldn't jam up. I'm just waiting until you see my change counter, how often that jams up. But we had $84 there. 110 there, an error there, so we'll take some of those. Oh, there we go. We'll redo that one and make sure. It said it got 60, but we'll try that again. 70, okay. It did skip one. So we have 420 from the 20s. So that totals up to 684 plus 935, 1619. I think that's the second most amount of cash we've ever had. Now, I also walked in and someone was trying to use the pop machine and couldn't get it to work. So I was messing around with it forever, trying to figure out what was going on. It was, he kept putting quarters in and they'd fall out, and putting quarters in and they'd fall out. And that happened to me before. And I found a wire that was kind of crimped, messed around, and started working again. I was having a harder time with this until I tried something. I had to hit the button. There was already enough money in it for a pop to fall out, so as soon as I hit the button, it started working. So that was an easy fix too. I guess you always try the simplest things first. And I had a whole lot of money laying on the ground there. I don't know if you saw that. So a lot of times we don't have like it's $1 for a pop, and then a lot of times of like $5.75 or something. Well, I found lots of nooks and crannies in that machine where quarters can hide. So I might have grabbed a few more than I had before. Checking the snack machine, and stuff is all messed up in here. I don't know if someone was like shaking the machine because one got stuck or something, but a lot of these were all messed up, and they were not like that last time I was here. So that was kind of strange. Hopefully they didn't break anything. I don't know if they understand how easily things break in a laundromat. We're out of some kind of chips. I forgot what those were, but we'll check it out. And there's a little bit. I don't feel like that's as much as we normally have, but we'll count it and see. Another really weird thing that happened was someone texted or called on the soap machine and said, when I bought a Dissolve, I got a Clorox Bleach. And I was like, that's really weird. We've been open for, I don't know, 6 months almost, and nobody's ever said that. That sounds strange that would happen. So then I checked it out, and there's the Clorox Bleach, and there's the Dissolve. And here's the Dissolve. No, that's the Clorox Bleach, sorry. That's the Downy. Yeah, there's the Clorox Bleach right there, and that's Dissolve. They were switched. And it's been like that the whole time, and people have been buying them. So I'm like, well, if I switch them back, are people going to get mad because they're expecting the wrong thing to come out? But I'm 95% sure the bad laundromat guys did that. I think they stocked it for me and put all those stickers on for me. So I can't believe no one's told me until now, but I can just kind of switch those stickers around so it's the right thing, and I think that's the best thing to do. So yeah, but I could not believe we've been open that long and no one's mentioned it, and we're just now figuring out we had the wrong stuff in the wrong slot. Whoops. Having said that, there's quite a bit of money in there. So quite a bit of soap did sell. About a 50% profit margin on the vending and soap in that range. So we don't get a whole lot of revenue from it, a little bit, and then that little bit of revenue is about 50% profit. So I got it fixed. I switched my label, so now the dissolve is there. And yep, that's dissolved too, making sure it's not messed up. And the Clorox Bleach is where it's supposed to be. Okay, I decided to count some of those vending machines first to see what we're at and how much we have. It didn't seem like, the pop machine actually seemed pretty good, but the vending machine was definitely down. So I'm doing the pop machine first, I believe. I got my bucket slightly mixed up, but I'm pretty sure that's what I did. And of course it's messing up, right? It needs warmed up. It's got to warm up, just like a car. So 75 quarters, plus there was some small change, like maybe another dollar or so of nickels and dimes that people had put in too. And the machine does accept those. I don't know if that's quite a dollar, but we'll say it is. All right, so we'll total that up later, but that's a good amount. That's almost $20 from the pop machine. I know it doesn't seem like a ton, but hey, any little bit helps. And this is the vending machine, which also had some nickels and dimes falling out, and 78. So that was about a little over $20 worth. And that is quite a bit lower than what we've been doing recently in the vending machine. So again, don't know if it wasn't working right or someone was messing with it. We'll see. So, and then the soap, like I said, felt like there's quite a bit of soap in there too. And I'm checking to make sure everything's legit on that machine. I know it's not, but it's like, you know, it's not completely broken. All right. $185, not quite 50, but pretty good. So that's a pretty good amount from the soap machine. All right, now we're gonna just jump right in and start checking dryers for their money. That's that one actually is one that's been out of order because the heating element or something with the heating is not working. We haven't been able to figure it out yet. But what's interesting is I was talking to someone at the laundromat last week, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I really like your laundromat because you have no heat dryers. Most places don't even give you the option to have no heat, and yours do that." I'm like, "Oh." And she's like, "You know, I really used to like that other dryer that isn't working." And the reason people liked it so much is it gave them like 28 minutes for one quarter when it's supposed to give them 8. But anyway, we fixed that part of it. Spent all kinds of time getting that all working, and then it stopped heating. Well, she's like, "Well, I would use that dryer all the time if it doesn't have heat, because I don't want heat." I'm like, "Oh." So on the out of order sign, I just wrote on it and said, machine works, but has no heat. So if people really want to use it and just use it to air dry without heat, then there you go. So it's not all the way out of order. That's my whole point. So that was a good box right there. Really good one. We're getting more out of order signs, and that's really frustrating, but God, it's just part of the business. So we have 3 dryers that are out of order right now. Like I said, one is something to do with the heating, and it's not an easy fix. We tried those. Another one, the motor might be dying. It's really super noisy and shaky. And then another one, the computer board is messed up. It just goes to 99 cents, or 99 minutes, I think. And it won't let me get in there to program it. It won't let me do anything on it. So I think we've got some extra motherboards that I can put in there and try, but I just have not gotten around to doing that yet. So 3 dryers are down. And of course there were people there. There are always people there now, which is good. And I think a lot of my customers actually are people doing wash and fold, or other, there's one of the out of order ones, that's why it's empty, are doing wash and fold like on their own for people. So it's like, wow, that's kind of cool, because it's good for me that you're doing a whole lot of laundry at my laundromat, and it's kind of like I'm doing wash and fold without doing it. but I know it's another revenue source I could add at some point, but that would be a ways down the road. So it's always hard to tell in the dryers, but I felt like that was a decent amount. So we're going to count those up right now and see what we had. It took me a while, but I found my scoop. I had misplaced it somewhere. I don't need you to watch the 10 minutes I spent looking for it. So the change machine started working better. I swear, it just needs to get like warmed up a little bit, and then it does, starts counting. So the record for quarters that we've had previously is, like it says, 3 weeks ago, $459, which is 459 times 4, 1,800 quarters. But that was a crazy week. Our previous record, besides that, kind of our second place record, was 1,014. No, that was, was 329 times 4, 1,316 quarters. That was our previous record. So once I started counting them, I thought, hey, I don't think it's going to break our all-time record, but it might come in second place, which would be cool because we've had so many weeks that were second place vicinity weeks, like in that range of 300 to 330, and just very consistent, which is nice. But I'd like to break through and increase our revenue and keep things moving forward. So it was awesome to have that one week where we just blew every other week out of the water. But then last week we kind of went back to the mean again of our averages. I'm like, man, it'd just be nice to push through. And look at that. There's still more quarters. We broke our record, our second place record, sorry. And we ended up with 1,542 quarters. So we'll show you that in the chart here in just a second, but really cool to see our second most quarters ever. All right, now here's the washing machine money. As many of you know, who've watched me before, I have to collect the front machines twice during the week or else they get too full. So that's why one of my buckets there already has quarters in it. I was also collecting quarters in a completely haphazard way today because there were people using the machines and in some rows, like folding a bunch of laundry. So I was kind of doing them in a weird order. So I actually did the dryers after I did these, but then I didn't do all of these at once because there were people there. So then I decided to go count the dryers, and yep, I just did it in a completely random way. So these are fine. These aren't like crazy full, but they're fine. So again, I was kind of nervous about if we would do really well or not. After the weekend, we did so good. I was sure we'd have a second place finish for sure. But then once I was looking at the machines, I'm like, oh, I don't know, are we going to? And then, you know, it seems like it was kind of dead on Monday and Tuesday. Almost no one was there. I'm like, oh, is it because the place isn't as clean as it could be? So we'll see how we did. And then, of course, you know, there's been a few machines breaking. I mentioned the dryers. There's a couple of washers down now too, which I'll talk about. Well, probably more than a couple. And we have a plan for some of them, but others we don't. That big one right there, the concrete's broken underneath it. And I was talking to the previous owner, who also comes in and does laundry all the time. And they were saying, because there was not a washer there when I took over this laundromat. There was no washer there, it was just an empty base. And they said, yep, the concrete was broken for us. We kept trying to fix it, it just kept breaking. And pretty much we figured out the only way to fix it is just tear up huge chunks of concrete. And I didn't want to, and we didn't want to do that. And I don't blame them. And so I had the professional laundromat guys install that washer for me. And they had redone a bunch of the concrete too, just underneath it. But again, didn't like, you know, pour huge chunks of new concrete, just tried to patch and fix the concrete that was there. And it broke again. So, and these are the front machines. I told you I was doing a very haphazard way. So we're doing the front machines before I do some of the others because there was someone in the way. These are the ones, like I said, that always have the most money in them. And that was a nice heavy box, especially since we already emptied these once this week. Now, my big 60-pounder right here might have an issue too, because some people were saying it wasn't quite spinning right, and it might need a new belt. So I'm going to order a new belt for that one, and that could be why there's not as much money in it as usual. So it works, but not as good as it should, so that's a little tricky there. Now I'm going back to the hips here again, because I'm doing it all haphazardly and backwards just to mess people up. Sorry. So one of these broke too for the first time. These have been kind of really great machines, and actually the old Laundromat owner said he had these for 10 years without any issues at all on them. So that was kind of cool to hear too. So they've been, really nice. And then yeah, this one right here, pretty minor issue, hopefully. I haven't figured out what to do. Well, I know what to do, I just haven't done it yet. The latch on the door broke. So the little clip that pops the door into place broke, and now the machine thinks the door is open all the way, so it won't work. So I just have to get a new one of those latches, and hopefully that will fix that. Again, maybe someone accidentally snapped it off, maybe they did it on purpose, who knows. But I know what I have to do to fix it. Alright, so that's bucket is getting pretty full, so I'm feeling better now about my chances. That was another machine that was broken, but we fixed it. It was pulling some weird door codes, messed around, turned the power on and off, boom, started working again. So, strange how that stuff happens. That was a pretty heavy box for these Horizons too. A lot of times these don't have as much money in them as other machines. Another one that broke this week, it has been leaking quite a bit, and was it pulling the drain code? I can't remember, but a couple times it overflowed and leaked, so we took that off, but we still had some people use it before that happened. And this is our last machine of the day, a pretty full box too, and that bucket is pretty full. Not a record, not our best week, but it could be our second best week. And then here we are with that giant bucket, and we'll see how many we've got here. Like I said, the record, let me check. I didn't say what the record was. I can go look and see what the record was. Where'd it go? $1,381, which is 5,500 quarters. But our second place record is 1,014. So 1,014 was 4,056 quarters. So that's kind of what I was going for. Not because, I don't want big goals and to break records, just because I knew we didn't have as much money as we did that week. So, and that was a crazy week. I'd love for every week to be like that. Maybe soon it will be. And my machine is set to stop every 1,000 quarters for some reason, so I need to fix that at some point. But I was feeling pretty confident about this. I still had a lot of quarters left, and quite a bit were counted. And I also, like I told you before, I've been stopping at 2,000, resetting it, because once in a while my machine freaks out and goes crazy and decides to reset at 2,400 and show a bunch of weird letters, and yeah. So we don't want to make the machine too mad. I don't know if it gets tired, or hungry, or grouchy, or what, but it was working okay, I feel like, today, if I just feed it nice and smooth. Kind of like a gold rush, like the hopper. You want to feed your hopper slowly and consistently. You don't want to dump too much pay dirt in it right away, or else it'll jam up. You don't get rocks in there, and then it gets real mad at you. So yeah, I guess I'm learning the art and nuance of a finicky diva coin changer counter. Almost 2,000. I'm slightly OCD and want to make sure it's exactly 2,000. Okay, now reset that, and there we go. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to get over 4,000 quarters. Wasn't sure if I was going to break my record, but pretty sure I was going to get over 4,000. And my scoop, I have to give a shout out. I don't even remember who it was. Maybe it's a couple people who suggested I get like an ice cream scoop for quarters. Really good idea. That was a great idea. Thank you for suggesting that. Once in a while I do listen to people who suggest things. Not always, but sometimes. And it has made my life so much easier and my hands so much cleaner by using that scoop. And just a lot easier. My hands still get dirty, but they're cleaner than before when I was just grabbing handfuls of quarters. And they're kind of hard to grab. If you have a bucket full of quarters, they're surprisingly hard to grab. They kind of morph into each other into a slightly liquid paste of quarters. It doesn't make any sense until you've actually tried it, but it's weird. Quarters are also hard to pick up. If you drop them on the ground or get them, in my change machine, they're just meant to be annoying if you drop them. I've learned. All right, still feeling positive about this. I still have quite a few scoops left in that bucket, and I usually get between 150 to 200 quarters per scoop, I feel like, depending on how big or small that scoop happens to be. These are the weird things that go through my mind as I'm scooping quarters, if anybody's wondering. I do kind of try and look out a little bit for interesting old-looking quarters, but it's so hard, and usually when I do see one, like, it's already gone into the counter and then gone through it and then gotten covered up. So yeah, I don't really search for quarters anymore. It's just, I found one silver quarter out of like 50,000 quarters, I feel like. So just the time effort to find those just is not very good. And look at this. We just went past our second place record. Because remember, we already had 2,000, so now we're at 2,000 plus 2,200, so we're at 4,200. Our previous second place record was 4,056, now we're at 4,300. I feel like we're like counting gold on Gold Rush too a little bit, except quarters aren't quite worth as much as gold, but that's okay. 24.61 plus it spit out 4 more quarters, 24.65. So that was really cool to see. All right, here's my chart. If you're new, I've kept track of my weekly sales since we opened in December. I do that for my other laundromat too, the small, tiny laundromat. We'll have big news happening on that video too. Lots of stuff happened today there, and that will be out tomorrow, so be sure to watch for that. And you can see things got better, and then they get worse, and they get better, and they get a little bit worse, and hopefully the betters outpace the worses. And they have been doing that lately. But as I said, we hit a little bit of a plateau there where every week was very consistent and about the same. We got a little bit of an increase, but not much. And then again, very consistent there, almost a plateau. And then 3 weeks ago happened and things got crazy. So that was nice to see, especially after that dip there. I'm like, oh, what's going on? We don't want to regress and go back down. And I really would like to make more money than this too. And there you go, there was a crazy 3 weeks ago. Last week was back, still a really good week, but not quite as good. And this week is by far our second place highest week, as you can see, $1,588, $11.16 from the washers, $3.85 from the dryers. All of those are records, second place records, sorry. So you can see now we're starting to get kind of break through that plateau, and hopefully we'll keep breaking through it. The soap vending pop machines, they were okay. The soap machine was one of our higher ones. The pop machine was actually one of our higher ones too. But yeah, we're really concerned about the washers and dryers. That's the main source of revenue, and hopefully this trend continues. I mentioned we had to hire a cleaner, so now with our cleaners and rent and different stuff we have to pay for, you know, our break even is probably $4,500 a month now. And so if we're at $1,500 a week, we're making money. Not a ton of money, but we're making money, so that's good. And hopefully this just continues to go up and up and up and not down. Because yeah, if we have to maintain machines and fix stuff and pay for parts, that comes out of that profit as well. So we really want those numbers to go up to make it a really good business. If it stayed right here and kind of stayed at that plateau, it'd be pretty mediocre, to be honest. So, and there's also some other things we can do. I want to move that machine, like I said, to the front. I've said that a number of times, the one that had the broken concrete. Maybe I didn't say this at that time, but my plan is to move it up front so the concrete isn't broken. We could raise prices a little bit because our prices are still pretty low. We could maybe look at doing wash and fold at some point. We could maybe look at putting in card readers, but that gets very, very expensive too. So there's some things we can do, but if our trends keep continuing up like this, I'd like to just kind of keep doing what we're doing and see what happens. All right, thanks for watching. Like I said, we'll have the small laundromat video up tomorrow. It has lots of interesting stuff in it. That's a pretty interesting video too. And of course, we'll come back here next week and see what the numbers look like there. And hopefully, they just keep going up and up and up. And hopefully, with the cleaners being there much more often and the place hopefully being much cleaner, that might increase revenue as well too. We'll see how all of that goes.